1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Diane Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show. Welcome back from the wonderful world of Disney.
Yeah, I survived. I did it.
How did it go? I was following you on Instagram. It looks exhausting.
It's a perfect mixture of wildly exhausting, but also like I get it. It's pretty magical. It's pretty cool. Magic Kingdom can lick it. I mean, that's just so crowded. And we did that the day we got there. Like we got to Magic Kingdom at 2 p.m. and we didn't stay for fireworks. But luckily I have a little boy. He's not into the princess thing. You don't have to fight all that jazz. We just wanted to do a few of the big rides. But it's a whole system. You have to get this Genie app, and this is how you get the fast pass lanes, and you have to get up and like you put in the rides, like your wish list, the rides that you want really bad. And then like right at 7, thousands and thousands of people are on this app trying to get the rides that they want. And usually you can get about one, and then it tells you got to wait 2 more hours before you can book another lightning pass. And then so you get like the big ride that the one that everybody waits 2.5 hours in line for. You get a fast pass for that, and you're like,
what
okay.
are the big ones now? I don't even know. Obviously, it's not Splash Mountain anymore.
No, and here's the thing: these fucking rides are worth it. They are the technology that's at Disney. No one has more money than Disney, and they are putting it into these rides in the park. They do a good job. I mean, every single thing, every ride, the amount of detail in it is like, oh, you're getting your money's worth. Like it's amazing. So anyway, yeah, it's a whole process, and it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of walking, like over 20,000 steps a day I was taking, and we weren't even staying for fireworks at the end. But there were just rides that blew my mind where I was like I almost blacked out on Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, what is happening? And I had to keep reaching over to Charlie to make sure he hadn't passed out from like, oh my God. But it's just this mixture of like a roller coaster and AI and, you know, winds blowing on you and music. And you just like with Guardians of the Galaxy ride, you literally feel like you are flying through time and space. You don't even know what's up, what's down, what's reality. And it's so fun.
There's a great documentary on Disney Plus about they call them the Imagineers.
Yes.
And these are the Disney guys that create the rides. They're basically just given just millions of dollars in full range. It's like, go overstimulate the people.
It's why, and so like, you know, the Avatar ride is cool. Like basically you're riding the Banshee, which I just call them dragons, and you're sitting on this bike, and then this back comes up to make sure you don't fall off because there's little kids on it. And like your legs are on it, and you're supposed to be like on your dragon. And of course it's all this huge screen comes by, and you're just like in Pandora, you're in that world, like diving. But like even the seat that you're on, it kind of like moves and goes in and out, like your dragon is breathing between your legs. I mean, everything is thought of. I mean, it's so wild and so immersive. So you understand why people wait so long in these lines to ride these.
That sounds so sexy, Diane. Breathing between your legs.
But I was just like, whoa, what's happening? Oh, my dragon's breathing. It's weird.
I'm making a note of that. That's an exceptionally creepy thing to drop on a stranger.
And I'll say this, I'm not a Star Wars person. I don't watch it. I don't care. It doesn't do anything.
You're wrong about that, but go on.
I know. The Star Wars ride is like everyone wants to go to the new like whole Rise of the Resistance Star Wars land that they've built. And it's incredible. You feel like you're in the movie. And the ride isn't just a ride. It's a whole experience. You get captured, you're prisoners. They treat you like prisoners, and then you escape, and Darth Vader's chasing you. He's using the Force to pull you in and out, and it's really, really crazy. But it wasn't my favorite because I'm not into it. But Corbin was laughing. He went to the restroom, and there were these like 40-year-old men at the urinals being like, dude, when I saw Darth Vader come out, I like lost my shit.
That's what I would be like.
Corbin said he had that ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. He wanted to be like, nerds. So
I totally would have been lost in it.
but I'll say I didn't understand like adults that go without kids. I'm like, say what? But I get it now. I would go with girlfriends and just do Epcot. Just do that where you eat around the world. And it's just like every like culture, and then like you just get like a nibble, like a snack and a drink from that culture, like a mixed drink or a beer. And then like, if you're in India, you get a couple samosas or whatever, and then you're just like nibbling and eating and drinking all the way around the world. And we didn't have time to do all that, but I was like, I'll come back for that for sure.
What's a samosa?
It's like the little Indian, like it's not a dumpling. It's usually filled with like potatoes and peas, or if you like meat, it has meat in it, and it's all deep fried. It's good.
Oh, it's like an Indian empanada.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a fancy Indian mimosa. I was like, I want to know it.
is. You're like, I'm a bartender. I don't know this samosa drink.
Exactly. I want to introduce Indian mimosas to people.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly spicy mimosa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'll say this, Charlie, it was a great age to take him. His mind was just blown, and I was afraid he was going to complain about all the walking in his feet, but he was just having too much fun. And
Yeah.
we're like, he's going to remember this. Like, he can't stop talking about it. So,
Yeah, you can definitely see it in his eyes in the pictures that you took. Like this was a kid who was just like he had that eyes wide open thing. Like
yeah,
I'm used to seeing that in like kids that are like coming off the hockey ice where you're
yeah,
trying to see everything, like trying to take in like 360 view. They're just like that great big, just googly eye. Just I don't know. I wanted to record everything.
yeah, yeah. He just, I mean, and he's, he's on the autism spectrum. And so he just is constantly ranking things. Like he gets off a ride and he's like, okay, where does that ride rank? And then he'll do the whole ranking system again of like each ride and where it ranks compared to other rides. It's fun.
Good times. This is a good episode for this because it's going to be a little bit of more mid 90s nostalgia for us. We're doing the Counting Crows today.
Yes.
We're doing Mr. Jones, which was a song that was absolutely inescapable.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, there were so many songs around this period when I was like 14 or 15 that were inescapable that I absolutely hated because you couldn't get away from them. Like because they were on the radio all the time, they could not be cool. But for whatever reason, I never turned on Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I never turned on Counting Crows. You're right. They got so much radio play, which could be annoying. And sometimes his whiny voice could be a little annoying. But I was like, they were just good, though. His music was great.
Yeah. And I guess it's just the sheer joyfulness of it, like the pop candy of it. He's able, like he's got very, very sad songs like Long December and Round Here, has a certain melancholy to it. And maybe that kind of rounded out the pop sugar.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hate them for being all happy the way I hated other bands that kind of came in the wake of grunge.
Right.
Like that's what I don't know how to explain it. I was reading an article. One of the fun things I like about doing this podcast is I get to go back and I read like Rolling Stone articles that I'd forgotten I'd read when I was a kid. And, I find things that have like always been in my head and I never knew how they got there. I'm like, this must be where I picked that up.
Oh, fun.
Because when we first decided we were going to do Mr. Jones, I'd always had this theory that it's just another song about a rock star's dick. Like I always thought that it was singing about her penis. Like, oh yeah, I'm interested in the blonde, but Mr. Jones is interested in the black-haired girl. Like it's it's the duality of a man's sexuality. Like I'm intellectually interested in the blonde, but I physically want the brunette.
Yeah.
I related to that. But I'm reading this Rolling Stone article that was like their first Rolling Stone cover in 1994. And it opens with this scene. Adam Duritz is traveling in Paris with the band. And he says that there are two like American tourists who look a little bit like Beavis and Butthead who come up and they're kind of giggling with Adam about, hey, you're Mr. Jones, aren't you? And it's like, actually, Mr. Jones is my friend. The Counting Crows is the band. I'm Adam. Whatever, Mr. Jones. Like that kind of thing. And then one of the kids says, I think I figured it out, man. That song's about your penis, isn't it? Mr. Jones is your dick. And I was like, I must have read that.
Yeah.
That when I was 14, took it as my own and ran with it.
It's so funny, we can talk about it later or now, but he says so many misinterpretations about the song. He's like, it's so straightforward. And Mr. Jones is just my friend, Marty Jones. But how many people thought this song was about him and his dick? And he's like, no,
no, absolutely not. Put your minds out of the gutter.
I was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. But if someone had told me that, I'd be like, oh, I'm just not a girl, and I wasn't thinking in that terms. But I see it now. He's just him and his penis talking about the different things they like.
I feel like it's right there. I think if you're an immature young man,
Yeah.
that's the first place that your mind goes when you listen to this song. But it's also there's a whole lot of things that I never thought about with this song, beginning with the very first thing that he says in this song. Sha la 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 la. Uh-huh.
I thought that was a direct homage to Brown Eyed Girl, and he says it's not.
Never occurred to me.
Really?
Never until I read it a couple of days ago. It never occurred to me that it's the exact same. Is refrain the right word?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know my music
I don't know
terms.
either. But
One
yes,
day we'll learn them for this podcast.
it's basically the exact same, not chorus, but whatever it is
Mhm.
from Brown Eyed Girl. And yeah, like listening to it again, it does sound like a direct thing, but I guess he spent years trying to get out from under the "you're stealing from Van Morrison."
He was like, no, he said like he's almost like stunned that people said it. Or I was like, was it like subconscious for you? Because dude, no one else does that.
Yeah. I think it would have to be subconscious. I think it's probably pretty similar to me adopting this kid from Rolling Stone saying it's about your
Maybe.
penis, but you just forgot about it
Yeah.
in your head, and it popped out when you stepped to the microphone. It happens. I
Yeah.
think there are
Yeah.
plenty of comics who have accidentally hacked a joke or hacked a line where they're just like, it was right there and it was perfect, so I nipped it.
I took a little snip. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Hey,
Well,
anyway,
and this is a Patreon choice for Steve Ryan, so I hope he's happy with what we picked.
me too. Right out of the gate, it is amazing how direct this song like there's no it's not open to interpretation. It's exactly it is what it is. It's pretty straightforward. This one does what it says on the tin.
Down at the New Amsterdam, staring at this yellow-haired girl. Mr. Jones strikes up a conversation with a black-haired flamenco dancer. You know she dances while his father plays guitar. She's suddenly beautiful, and we all want something beautiful. Man, I wish I was beautiful.
I was down at the New Amsterdam staring at this yellow-haired girl. The New Amsterdam was a bar in the San Francisco Mission District. Mr. Jones strikes up a conversation with a black-haired flamenco dancer, which I always thought was just like romantic imagery. Like how many
Yeah.
black flamenco dancers are actually flamenco dancing at a bar in the Mission? I know the Mission's a magical place,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that magical? She dances while his father plays guitar. She's suddenly beautiful. So Mr. Jones is Marty Jones, like you said, and his dad was a flamenco guitar player. And apparently he was one of the very few Americans who have had success playing flamenco guitar in Spain, where
Yeah.
apparently he played under a pseudonym, the last name of Serva, to make him sound, I assume, to make him sound a little more Spanish and thus a little bit more authentic. But he's one of the very, very few American masters of flamenco. He came back to San Francisco to play with his to visit his family and to play with his flamenco troupe. And Adam Duritz and Marty Jones go to see this guy's dad play. And after they leave the show, they go to this bar, the New Amsterdam, to drink with his dad. And of course, there's a flamenco dancer. We all want something beautiful. Man, I wish I was beautiful.
Yeah.
That reminds me so much of another song that was all over the airwaves that I loved at the time too. Doesn't that remind you of Creep by Radiohead? I want a perfect
Oh,
box.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what is the line? What is his almost exact line? I wish I was special. You're so fucking special. I wish I was special. Yeah.
I really do think that those two ideas, if you're a young man of a certain persuasion, i.e., exactly like me, I think those two lyrics kind of settled on your soul in a strange way when you were 14 or 15 and left you always feeling a little worthless.
Yeah.
There's always.
And and we'll get into it more of the song, like a little jealous of the guys who like these guys are sitting there like wishing they could be the type of guy to talk to these girls and stuff, and then watching the guys who do, and you're like, how do you fucking do that? I guess you got to be famous and beautiful, which we're getting into.
Just
I
got to
would
go
also
out.
like to say fun choice of words to say yellow haired girl instead of blonde girl, I guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
yellow haired girl, but as a new yellow haired girl, uh I don't know if I like that term. But it's
Are you
funny.
having more fun? Are you getting more attention?
Yes.
Are you swatting aside or enjoying the male gaze a little more than you used to?
It pisses me off, but yes. It makes me like I should have just gone blonde in my 20s. Why was I so hell bent on keeping my brunette hair? Like the all I had to do was dye it blonde and guys started looking again. I'm like, "Oh, you bunch of assholes. Why does everybody like blonde so much?"
I don't know why we're triggered by blondes. I don't know. I'm not as triggered by blonde as others. I tend to, meaning no offense, but I often whisper to people, it's like blondes are boring.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, a blonde, and that was my thing. I was like, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yes, that's a thing. I was a brunette with blue eyes. That was supposed to be a better thing, but it didn't really work as well with my skin color. I just looked better as a blonde, damn it.
Oh, I like the dark-haired blonde or blue-eyed combination. So just a little more savage. I don't know why.
Yeah, sometimes it works for me. Sometimes it did. If I'm tan, it was good. But if I get like in the winter, like my eyes are so blue, they're like white in the middle, and I look like a scary White Walker, and then with the really white skin and then like just brown hair. Sometimes it was kind of scary, like Exorcist way. Like it wasn't great. Like
Demon blonde from the
yeah,
depths of
Devil with Blair. It wasn't always working for me. All right.
So come dance the silence down through the morning. Sha la 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 la, yeah. Yeah. Cut up, Maria. Show me some of them Spanish dances and pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. Believe in me. Help me believe in anything, 'cause I wanna be someone who believes.
So come dance this silence down through the morning. Sha la 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 la.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Cut up, Maria. Show me some of them Spanish dances. I also wonder if this is the beginning of my love of Latin ladies too.
Probably. I thought about you through reading the song. This was what your TikTok was when you turned on TikTok.
It could be that Adam Duritz planted that in my head. And pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. Believe in me. Help me believe in anything, because I want to be someone who believes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a spiritual search as well.
Yeah.
It's not just a search for fame, it's a spiritual search.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. The more you read on, you're just like, guys just want to be famous to get laid. That's all their motivation is for anything, is to get laid by a pretty lady.
Well, what are we going to do? It's a design flaw. Blame it on God.
Mr. Jones and me tell each other fairy tales, and we stare at the beautiful women. She's looking at you. Oh no, no, she's looking at me.
Mr. Jones and me tell each other fairy tales, and we stare at the beautiful woman. She's looking at you. No, she's looking at me. Yeah.
It's a fun little game. And it's also sad when it's not true. I like that they're playing this game. Like, imagine if she was like into you and then that blonde over there was into me, and we'd be like, yeah, and like meanwhile no one's looking at them. I'm like, oh, guys.
I don't know if I've told this story before, but years ago, like, I don't know, 17 years ago, I got a number from a very pretty lady at a bar, and I didn't know how I managed it, but she and I were having a good conversation. We had a few laughs and everything like that, and I got her phone number. So I waited 2 days to call her, because you got to wait 2 days. And I phoned her up, and we had another good like 15 or 20-minute conversation. And I was rounding the corner trying to get her to meet me somewhere. She agreed to it, and then somehow or another it came out. She's like, "Oh, you're the guy. Oh, you're the guy from that place. Oh, I thought you were the guy from the," and then she just hung up the phone.
Oh no. Oh, ow, that hurts my insides.
What are you gonna
Were
do?
you did at that point did you have to laugh it off or did you go cry for a couple days?
Well, thankfully, it was just like we didn't like have like a relationship or anything. Like there was nothing like tied to it. There was
Yeah.
just that weird moment where there was a moment where like when you first started like entering people's numbers in your cell phone, where like fart sniffing guys like me would kind of just like scroll past it, just like you just look gorgeous in my phone book.
Well, yeah.
Like
Look how many I
I'm
got.
just, mhm. I was happy enough I got her number. How do you like them apples? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, victory enough. Or at least
God,
that's what I told
how
myself.
many
Now,
numbers was she passing out like in just that one weekend too, man?
no, don't besmirch her reputation. She was a lovely lady.
Couldn't even remember which guy she was talking to.
Yeah. Definitely didn't want to talk to the skinny broke one. I guess that was that seemed to be the through line there.
I would have been like, can you just tell me what the other guy looked like or what he did for a living? Just so I know.
Yeah, wait a second. Who am I losing out to here? What's going on?
Yeah.
Smiling in the bright lights, coming through in stereo. When everybody loves you, you could never be lonely. Well, I'm gonna paint my picture.
Smiling in the bright lights, coming through in stereo, and then here's the through line of the whole song. When everybody loves you, you can never be lonely.
Yeah.
I was reading a great quote about Adam Duritz is explaining, and it is, you can almost feel his frustration having to explain away, like we were talking about, like, it's not about my dick. It's
Yeah.
not
Right.
it's literally about this idea that when before you're famous, like as you're working in a band or working as an artist or a writer or whatever it is that you think is going to be your path to fame, you have this grandiose idea about how it's going to look and how it's going to feel and how it's going to change you and how it's going to make everything right.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not true. Of course, you have no idea what it's going to be about. And he's got this great quote where he says, "You're supposed to know that the protagonist is a fool,"
Yeah.
which is just a great. I'm going to scrawl that on cocktail napkins and leave them in every bar I go to. You're supposed to know the protagonist is a fool.
Right.
Everybody needs to understand that.
Right. And I think everybody did. I think everybody listening to the song at the time got it and felt sorry for him. Like, yeah, it's not
Mhm.
gonna work out that way. It's the same way we learned like money doesn't buy you happiness. It's the same story. For some reason, this song kept making me think of Chicago, the musical, when Roxy Hart does her song and she's talking about being famous, like she's gonna be famous and a celebrity is somebody everyone knows, and there's this one line where she's like, and I'm loving the audience and they're loving me and I love them for loving me and I love them, they love me for loving them, and she goes, and that's because none of us got enough love in our childhoods, and that's showbiz, kids.
I'm a star, and the audience loves me, and I love them. And they love me for loving them, and I love them for loving me. And we love each other. And that's because none of us got enough love in our childhoods. And that's showbiz. Kid.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it's really
It
great.
reminds me of a lot of other songs. It reminds me, obviously, of Rockstar, which I think is a Nickelback tune. Hey, because it's basically the same idea. Hey, we all want to be rock star. We'll all stay skinny because we just won't eat.
Yeah.
It's like a more corny version of Mr. Jones.
Right.
But that also reminds me of Biggie. It reminds me of I can't even remember the name of the song, but obviously it's his biggest hit. Birthdays were the worst days. Now we drink champagne when we're thirsty.
Yeah.
That tune?
Is
I
that
can't
Big Papa?
or
When you call me Big Papa. No.
I
What
don't
was
think it is.
I can't think of all Biggie songs off the top of my head right now. It's been so long.
Me either, but that's one of those, like, you can play that at a brunch that's almost entirely white, and everybody will start moving into it because we identify with it, even though we have no idea what it's like to come up from the projects and then all of a sudden, be a millionaire rap star. We
Right.
all dream of that. Like we all dream of getting out of our little rusty cage, which is
Right.
what Ritz is doing here and what Biggie was doing there. It's
Yeah.
just that what's it going to be like when the world finally recognizes my worth?
Right. And we know in real life that Duritz didn't take his fame very well. It made him very depressed.
He was already pretty depressed. I think
Yeah.
What is it? Dissociative disorders, I think what he
Yes,
was.
that blew my mind that I said that he suffers from that, and like it's happened to me, once during my nervous breakdown, and if the way they describe dissociative disorder for people who don't know or don't remember me talking about it, what do they say? It makes the world seem like it's not real, as if things aren't taking place. It's a mental condition, and I had it happen to me, and it's scary and it sucks. And I'm like, so that happened to me once. Does this happen to him all the time? Like he's afflicted with it? Because that's horrible.
I don't know. And I can't imagine, like, can you imagine having an affliction like that and then having your life change, 180 degrees over the course of 6 months or a
No.
couple of weeks? You go from basically you're playing in bars in San Francisco, and the next thing you know, you're on Saturday Night Live. Like,
Yeah,
does that cause dissociative disorder, or does it
maybe.
compound it? Like, what happens to somebody that goes through that?
I could see it causing it. Like this is so far from the life you've always known. Like all of a sudden you're on Saturday Night Live and you're like, I don't deserve to be here. Adam isn't here. And so your mind disconnects, and then, he's singing, he's holding a microphone, but he's really just floating outside of his body watching him do it because he can't even can't even believe that it's him that it's happening to.
No. And that's got to be true for just about every rock star, every major performer, where there's got to be nights where they're just like, I'm not doing this. The character I created for myself is doing this.
Yeah, and you're on autopilot and probably exhausted, and it's got to be sad because you'd want to connect with that feeling, connect with your audience, connect with the feeling of what you're doing, and you can't because you don't even like believe it to be true that it's happening.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mentioned like there's got to be nights where like Marshall Mathers has got to be like Marshall Mathers is not up for this today, but
Yeah.
Eminem has to be.
Yeah.
Like we got to pull the character out and put on the show somehow.
I mean, we've experienced it a little bit with comedy. I mean, there's been so many times I've been on stage, like telling a joke and selling it while thinking about groceries and other things on my mind. I'm just like, I'm not even here. I'm not even on this stage. I am a robot right now. And those shows suck. You're not great when you're not in the moment.
Every time I've ever been on stage for any live performance I've ever done, like the last thought in my head before I get on stage is always, how the fuck did you get yourself into this?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's no way out now. Like the only way out is through. Like you have to go do this.
And then you get off stage, like when you're on stage, sometimes if you are having a good moment and you get loose and you're connecting with the audience, you're like, well, that's the best. But those moments where I just wasn't into it, I wasn't feeling it, I was on autopilot, and I'm like, why do I do this? Why am I doing this to myself? I'm just so, and like when I knew my closer was coming, I was so happy, like I'm almost off stage. And then I'd be like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
The only thing I can come up with is just like I just like to be terrified in that way. Like that's the way I like to scare myself. And I'm like, I wonder if like guys that like to go hunting, it's just like, okay, that's like when they hear the owl hooting at night, like do they feel like the creepy conqueror? Like I wonder, like that's the same. I wonder if that's the same sort of motivation.
Yeah, what
Guys,
what adrenaline junkie shit are we missing out on? Like it's like we're jumping off a cliff in a jumpsuit or wingsuit.
yeah, it's got to be that exact same thing. Like, it's totally out of. I guess it's not because it's out of your control. It's just like, okay, can you control it? I wonder if that's what I was thinking. Because I would never get on stage thinking that I was going to kill. I would never get on stage thinking that it was going to be successful. I always thought it was going to be a disaster. And I wonder if I was doing that just because I wanted to. Can I control something that's out of control?
Well, what's funny is we say, sometimes we're on autopilot or not present. You become present real fast when you're eating shit. That snaps you out of it.
We're absolutely who you are in the moment. I'm 100% here, guys. Doing everything.
Yeah, that's funny.
This might be the upcoming verse might be my favorite because it helps me with my arrogance. It feeds the arrogant beast inside me that was even when I was a young kid.
Paint myself in blue, red, and black and gray. All of the beautiful colors are very, very meaningful. Yeah, well, gray is my favorite color. I felt so symbolic yesterday. If I knew Picasso, I would buy myself
Well, I'm going to paint my picture, paint myself in blue and red and black and gray. All of the beautiful colors are very, very meaningful. I love the way that he doubled up on the very there. You know,
Yeah.
again, like here's the protagonist understanding that he's a fool. Like he's just taking himself. All the colors are very, very meaningful. Like he's pushing up his glasses.
Mm-hmm.
He's
It
super
feels
protective.
very Trump the way he talks. I'm very, very
Yeah.
popular.
Well, you know, gray is my favorite color. I felt so symbolic yesterday. If I knew Picasso, I'd buy myself a gray guitar and play. So when I was 14, when this song was really big, I definitely looked up Gray and Picasso to try to figure out what the hell he was talking about here. And that's where I read about Picasso's gray period.
Mm-hmm. He had periods, which was cool. I loved his blue period.
You're an art major. You know more about this than I do. I know nothing about it. I read about Picasso's gray period because it helped me inform the song that was on the radio. And then it made me feel like the smartest man in the world. My intellectual bona fides were proven. I know about Picasso's gray period. Burgeoning genius here. I guess Picasso, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Is it Guernica? Is that his?
Guernica. Yeah.
Guernica?
Yeah, that's my favorite painting of his. I think it's everybody's because it's massive size alone.
Is it huge?
It's long, like it's horizontal. It's huge.
Have you ever like been to a museum and seen it in person or no?
No. But yeah, it's a great painting.
I have no idea of scale. Like when I do, like I've seen pictures of the painting, but I've never seen. I don't know the size of it. But I remember reading when I was a kid.
I'm gonna look up how big it actually is. Let's see.
I remember reading when I was a kid that he painted it in black and white because he wanted it to reflect newsprint. You know, he wanted to have that immediacy. Like even though Picasso was a painter and obviously very good with color and everything like that, there was no reason for him to paint it true to life because the way to communicate the immediacy of it was in black and white because newspaper headlines were black and white, newspaper photos were black and white. So if he wanted to create this stark image of a Spanish city being bombed by the Germans, like the way to present that was in that stark black and white.
Oh, I love that. I don't think I remembered that's why it was black and white. The dimensions: 11 feet 6 inches high and 25 feet 6 inches long.
Oh shit! So it's no joke, massive.
It's huge. Yeah. It's
Good
great.
God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're getting an education here today.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning about art.
Mr. Jones and Guernica.
I also read that, and this I read recently, was that that's like sort of like the first thing that you learn about Guernica is that it's painted in black and white to reflect newspaper headlines. But then I guess secondarily, there's another painter named Matisse, who's a name that I know, and that's all I know.
Yeah.
Who is Matisse? He's a painter. I believe he's French. Done.
He was a part of the oh God, my brain's not working. It starts with an I. It was a whole thing that was happening at the time. Impressionist, yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. But there's another vocabulary word that apparently I do know. I went to a museum with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and there was part of the exhibit where the artist had dressed himself up as famous figures from history. He was a black artist from Africa, and so he dressed himself up as famous Africans: Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King. And I didn't realize that he dressed himself up. Like I was just looking at these because they're famous pictures, like famous images. Like this is the famous picture of Martin Luther King with his I don't know what to call it, but it's like his jail number, on his chest, which is his mug shot. There's the famous picture that was taken for a magazine where Muhammad Ali is basically like being persecuted, and they all looked like slightly different than the images that I'd seen before. But I thought what the artist was doing was like he repainted them, but he just painted them more vividly. Like standing in front of the MLK one, it was huge, and it really did look like I'd never in my life felt more like I was in the presence of Martin Luther King. And I thought that's what the artist was doing. Like I thought it was just like he's just rendering it true to life or making it just that little bit different, that it seems more vivid. And it wasn't until I walked out of the installation I started talking to my friend that she had to explain, like as I was like gushing all this stuff out, she was just like, "You do understand that he dressed himself up." Yes,
oh, I love it when I totally miss it. Miss the whole
I missed that completely. That 100% got by me.
I wonder if the artist would like that or be upset. Like, I put all this work into it and you totally missed it, or be like, oh my God, I pulled it off. You thought that was actually them?
I can't imagine what, like, if I had to write a 500-word essay on this guy's work and send it to him, be like, you're just, I don't know why I do this. So just send me back a line, just like, look, that's not what my art is about. And Mr. Jones is not about Adam Duritz's penis.
It's not, dang it.
Mr. Jones and me look into the future. Yeah, we stare at the beautiful woman. She's looking at you. I don't think so. She's looking at me. Standing in the spotlight, I bought myself a gray guitar. When everybody loves me, I will never be lonely. So it's getting more specific.
Yeah.
He's really got it in his head now. This is what it's going to take.
Full blown in the fantasy now. This is who I have to be for women to love, to look at me, and I'll never be lonely again.
And this is when the song drifts into its kind of quieter, slower bridge where it's,
I will never be lonely. Said I'm never gonna be lonely.
I'll never be lonely. I said, I'm never going to be lonely. I want to be a lion. Didn't know that. That was a misheard lyric for me until this week. I thought it was, I want to be a liar.
I wanna be a lion. Yeah, everybody wanna pass as cats. We all wanna be big, big stars. Yeah, but we got different reasons for that. Believe in me, 'cause I don't believe in anything. And I wanna be someone to believe, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did too. And I've never, and I still don't really, I mean, I kind of get it, but I'm like, what a weird choice of words. Yeah, everybody want to pass as cats.
I had no idea what that lyric was. Like,
really?
I would just make the sounds. I never even made an effort to figure out what that one would be. But I always thought it was, I want to be a liar. And I thought it was like the protagonist of the song starting to understand it. Like, he's just being a little more naked about what it is. I thought it was, I want to be a liar. Like, he realizes that every rock star is a liar in some way or in some form or another.
Yeah.
Or every artist is. Like, you're a creation of yourself, I think, at that point. And like, it's hard not to, rock and roll characters are caricatures, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, Axl Rose isn't that bombastic. Bono's not really going to save the world. You know, like they're blown up clowns.
Yeah, I mean, God, can you imagine the ego on them if they really thought they were these characters they've created all the time?
Yeah.
Everybody would want to be around them.
I think some of them probably do, or at least for a period of time.
Yeah.
I want to be a lion. Yeah, everybody wants to pass as cats. We all want to be big, big stars. Yeah, but we got different reasons for that. I don't need to tell you that 14-year-old me definitely fell on the moralistic side. Like, I don't want to be famous because of the money or the women. I want to do it to get my message out. I'm an actual artist.
I think this is very much why every man wants to be famous, just to pull in the poontang. I don't know why my brain wanted to say poontang, but I did. Back in the 90s, full blown. But
I didn't want to admit that when I was a kid, because like the rock stars that were that when I was coming of age, obviously it's Kurt Cobain, it's Eddie Vedder, it's Adam Duritz, it's guys like that who were actively like running away from that. It wasn't girls. It wasn't like we're trying to bang as many as possible. It's like we're trying to be as sincere as we possibly can. And
then, you know, if Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Love want to throw themselves at me, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
He dated
great Adam Duritz. It was Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox.
I said Courtney Love. I was thinking Cobain. Yes, Courtney Cox.
2/3 of the Friends. Not bad. Not bad after one album.
That was wild. And one of them, did both of them spend time in his videos? I know Courtney Cox was in, I think, Long December or something. They were in one of them.
I haven't watched that video in a while.
She was in one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes her a two-time video star, because she's famously the girl from Dancing in the Dark.
Right. That's
Wheel. Where were we? Oh, yeah.
We got different reasons for that.
Yeah. Believe in me because I don't believe in anything. This is one of my favorite parts of this song. Believe in me because I don't believe in anything. And I want to be someone to believe in, to believe. So he's getting more arrogant as the song goes on. It's kind of brilliant. Like the first time he says this, I want to be someone who believes.
Yeah.
And then the next time he gets to that part, it's like, I want to be someone to believe, like, I want to be somebody you believe it.
Right.
Like, it's either
Oh,
I
that's
can't do it for myself or I've done it so goddamn well, it's time for me to start a cult.
I love how it goes from like we're just getting drunk to like I'm spinning off into my alter ego now. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like he's like in this moment he's creating that character for
Mhm.
himself. Like this, it's the genesis of Sting or whatever here,
Yeah.
whatever the rock star moniker is going to be. This is the birth of Johnny Rotten.
I think a lot of rock stars probably legitimately do this. They have this moment where it's like throwing down the towel and being like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this character and I'm going full force and I may never look back to whoever I was before I was this rock star. Like I am like tunnel vision and I'm doing this.
I really think you have to, if you're going to be a live performer, like you have to find some way to loose your ego. And I think it's incredibly difficult to do that in a healthy manner that's going to make friends and influence people. Like,
You have to develop a dissociative disorder like he
yeah.
did.
Like I have to become an ego monster. Like if I'm going to be the person who's under the spotlight in a stadium of 20,000 people, I've got to earn that spotlight somehow or another. And I think that that really does mean that you have to amp yourself up. Like you really are the guy talking to himself in the mirror, slapping his cheeks, lots of energy, make him love you. Here we go.
No, that sounds horrifying to me. I've always said it would be super fun to be famous. And I mean like famous, where everybody knows you for about 2 months. That's what I figure I would like it for 2 months. It'd be kind of really fun. But then knowing that like, I'm not a totally private person, but I want the option. And when you're super famous, that option's gone for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
I would hate that. I would hate to not be able to just go to a store when I want to go to the store and like have people not leave me alone.
I think Duritz was way ahead of you with his long signature black dreadlocks. Like
Yeah.
all he had to do was shave those off, and he's back to being anonymous.
I told you we were watching that, and we can get to it later where he stayed working as a bartender at the Viper Room through his fame, which is crazy. And then don't let me forget, Paul Odo has great stories about him at UCB. That's really funny. But we were watching that documentary and it was like 45 minutes in that we were like, wait a minute, that's the guy from the Crowning Crows? He's white?
I remember I was watching that documentary and just like, oh, they are just interviewing the bartender from the Viper Room.
He looks so different.
Because I think there's some sentence where he says like something like that. He goes, and then my own level of fame was starting to be on par with these people, and I was just like, what? That is the most arrogant bartender shit I think I have ever heard. And I know some bartenders. Mr. Jones and me stumbling through the barrio. First time I was ever exposed to the word barrio.
Barrio.
Yeah, we stare at the beautiful woman. She's perfect for you. Man, there's got to be somebody for me. I want to be Bob Dylan. Mr. Jones wishes he was someone just a little more funky. When everybody loves you, ass son, that's just about as funky as you can be. I like how it builds and builds throughout the song. Like by the end of it, it's like, I want to be Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yep.
I want to be the greatest who ever was.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I always thought it was interesting that he chose Bob Dylan. It could have been, Elvis. It could have been anybody, but he went with the singer-songwriter that like just everyone loves.
Apparently he changes the lyric sometimes when he sings it live. He sings it to I Want to Be Alex Chilton. Sometimes it was the singer of Big Star and the Box Tops.
Right.
And then who else does he change it to? I think he changes it to I Want to Be like Marty Jones. Like he had like literally like changes to some guys that are in the band sometimes.
Oh, that's nice. That's fun.
And he also changes this lyric, now that he's older and wiser, and I think the song can have that effect on people. He changes the lyrics, that's just about as funky as you can be. He changes that to when everybody loves you, son, that's just about as fucked up as you can be.
Oh, that should have been the original line. That's great.
I just changed it at the end. Mr. Jones and me staring at the video. When I look at the television, I want to see me staring right back at me. Remember, you have to understand that the protagonist is a fool. You're meant to know the protagonist is a fool.
Yeah.
We all want to be big stars, but we don't know why and we don't know how. But when everybody loves me, I want to be just about as happy as I can be. Mr. Jones and me, we're going to be Big stars.
It's so
Dude.
sad. Again, I just think about, and that's because none of us got enough love in our childhoods.
Mhm.
That shows kids. Yeah, this song just reeks like you need therapy. You're enough. You were always enough.
It was always you. If only you could see yourself the way others see you.
Yes, yes. I like that Duritz later revealed apparently when they were at the bar and looking at all these girls, there was a guy at the bar getting a bunch of girls, and it was Kenny Dale Johnson, who was one of Chris Isaac's drummers.
Yeah, I read that story.
I don't know what he looks like.
I absolutely would not recognize Chris Isaac's drummer. No, it's not a chance.
No, no. That's like one of the there's an ongoing joke where somebody would meet a bunch of girls and tell them that they were the bassist for I don't remember which band, and it was a fun game because no one ever knew what that guy looked like, so people would just believe it. But any guy could walk up to me in a bar and say he was Chris Isaac's drummer. I'd be like, all right, great.
I'm going to start trying that from now on.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody age appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am.
But now everybody has a phone and they can just look it up and be like, that guy was black. Shit. I didn't think about that. So what was some other fun stuff? So the song refers to Maria, and she is a character that appears in a lot of their songs. She's the main subject of their second single, Round Here. Maria says she's dying on the front door. I see her crying. Maria came from Nashville with a suitcase in her hand. In Mr. Potter's Lullaby, there's a piece of Maria in every song that I sing. He said that
this is the first time I've ever noticed that Maria is in Round Here and Mr. Jones. I've never put that together. I'm the dumbest man on the planet.
Leads many to believe she's not a real person, but a symbol for loneliness, desire, or something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting little fun fact. Maria's everywhere there.
Well, that's a good name to choose. How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Again, he dated several actresses. I'm sorry, you can hear all my papers falling everywhere. Obviously, Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston. He was also linked to Mary Louise Parker, Samantha Mathis, and Emily Rossum. And Christina Applegate was his landlord when he moved to San Francisco, but they never dated.
I'm sure he regrets that.
Oh God, who wouldn't want to date her? I still want to date her.
Mm-hmm. I had a big poster of Kelly Bundy on my wall when I was a kid.
Yeah.
She was in a leather vest and ripped jeans and
She's the best. And she's funny. She's funny as hell. I love her.
She's a bad girl, or at least she was then.
I didn't realize until we were watching that documentary that she was like the beginning of the Pussycat Dolls, like a part of it, like putting it together. That was like her thing. Which I was like, I had no fucking idea. My friend Desiree was a Pussycat Doll for a little while back when she was in Vegas. Yeah, she was like one of the original members before they like recorded the song and made it big. When they were just performing like at the Viper Room and stuff, she was one.
Yeah. Oh, we got to have Desiree on the podcast.
Oh, she was a New York Knicks. Knicks, is that basketball? One of the New York basketball team. She was one of their dancers, and she danced for Michael Jackson. I think she went on tour with some rapper. To me, I was like, was it Ray J? It wasn't Ray J. It was someone else. Yeah, she was a professional dancer for a long time, and now she's back in Houston, in Cyprus, married with kids.
I want to hear her stories.
Yeah,
if she's willing to tell them. I could imagine if you got kids be like, can we do this anonymously? Yes, we can. We certainly can.
Yeah, she posts about it all the time, like her memories of like all her days in dancing and stuff. She has some cool stories.
She's got wild tales.
Yeah.
Wild tales. A little cocaine with Johnny Depp before we knew he was evil. Well, he's not evil.
I think he's all right. I don't know. Everybody's got a dark side. Let's not dive into our celebrities' lives anymore. I don't want to know. I just want to be speaking of funny stories, so Paul was over, he stayed at our house while we went to Disney, and we were talking the other day, and I was talking about we were doing this song, and I was like, didn't you say that Adam Duritz was always at UCB? And he was like, yeah, he would come up there and hang out and flirt with all the girls, but it would be time to go, like close up, and he would be on stage singing karaoke his own songs. Which is to me the saddest thing in the world.
It's sad, but it could also be the happiest thing in the world.
It's like, super funny.
if you're hanging out with Adam Duritz and there's a karaoke machine nearby, I definitely want him singing Mr. Jones. Absolutely, I do. I 100% do. I know in the retelling it's going to sound like he's like sad and living in the past and everything like that, but no, of course I do.
Especially if you don't recognize him, if he just looks the way he does now without his dreadlocks, and you're like, man, that guy's nailing it. But he said that like people, the workers there, and Paul was working there, they wanted to go home. They were tired, but nobody wanted to tell him to get off stage. And Paul's like, I don't care, I'll go do it. I'll tell him it's time to wrap this up. We gotta go. Oh, that was great.
Years ago, when I was I was an open mic comic, and my girlfriend was working at the comedy club as a waitress. And Carlos Mencia was in town, and he would notoriously go he would do really, really long shows, like 2 hours. And he was going real long one. It was must have been like a Friday or Saturday night, and all the tabs are closed out. Like all the waitresses have been literally sitting down in the aisles for an hour. Just we're all finished. And I forget what it was that she said specifically, but she definitely he'd called her out for aren't you doing it? And she said something snotty, just we're all ready to go home, or something like that in the middle of the show. So of course he claps back at her, and the crowd loves it, totally eviscerates her, and she gets angry, does a little bit more yapping, and gets escorted from the room.
Oh my gosh.
You can't accost. This is Carlos Mencia at the peak of his comedy club powers. This was maybe 115 seats, and he's selling it out 9 times in a week. The place absolutely jam-packed. And the energy that he would create at that time was like no other comic I have ever seen. The people were so excited to see him and so excited to receive him. I've never seen anything like it. So the blowback was just immediately intense. When I think about it now, it's I cannot believe she did that. I can't.
She's exhausted, and you're like, hey, this is really self-serving. We have to go home.
But it's also the power, not understanding, you're 19 years old, and you are this is going way too long. Obviously, everybody on staff has been okay, he's got to wrap it up eventually, but he doesn't, and goes on. It's already, a half hour too long, and then he goes on another half hour. So you get this idea, somebody needs to say something. Righteous indignation.
Right.
You're 19 years old. He's well within, he's sold out the club. He's well within his rights to do however long he wants to do.
Yeah. I can see myself getting a little lippy when I'm getting tired, though.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that now, but I could definitely see myself doing things like that when I was that age.
That's really funny. Good for her, though.
Scary bit of business. I also read that the Counting Crows kind of were there was a bidding war for them when they kind of came along pretty quickly. It's a pretty typical story where they're all in various bands together in whatever different combinations as they're trying to find the one that's going to work. And when they finally clicked on the Counting Crows, they had a manager who brought out label guys, music execs, A&R guys, as I've learned to call them.
Yeah.
Showed up, and they played one gig, and they ended up trying to decide between 8 record deals. They just immediately, and major record deals. These aren't small labels. All the big guys wanted them. Just you guys are obviously the next best thing. These songs are incredibly poppy. That front man is unbelievably magnetic. You guys are it. Then they start backing up the Brinks truck for him. So before the album even comes out, the Counting Crows are playing on MTV's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame show. This is in 1993. Yeah. And Eddie Vedder, I'd forgotten about this, but the Doors were getting inducted that year into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And obviously Jim Morrison has not been with us for 20 years at that point. So they brought in Eddie Vedder to front the Doors. And this is sort of at least in my mind, this is peak Doors nostalgia, in 1990. You couldn't go into a head shop or a Hot Topic and not see the movie with Val Kilmer had come out only a couple of years before. Yeah. So you couldn't go anywhere without seeing the image of Jim Morrison. One of my favorite Tommy Drake jokes. I know I've said it before, but I walked into a head shop with him in LA, and he takes one look at all the Jim Morrison t-shirts and just goes, you guys must be sold out of the Ray Manzarek shirts, right?
That's great.
I was thinking, so this is 93. Pearl Jam's debut album 10 comes out in 1991. So Eddie Vedder had only been a rock star for 2 years when they're asking him to perform at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, fronting the fucking Doors.
Yeah.
imagine the pressure that's on these guys. Like you think dream come true, but I would be in the dressing room going, how the fuck did I get myself into this?
I didn't ask for this. Yeah. Here comes more dissociative disorder.
Yeah, like, I'm supposed to go up there and impersonate Jim Morrison. What am I supposed to do? Like, I could only be me. Am I supposed to put on the leather pants? My butt doesn't look as good in leather pants as Jim Morrison's does. Nobody's does.
Can you just get Val Kilmer back up here?
Yeah.
He's an actor. That's what he does.
Val Kilmer can lip sync it. I'll be off stage on the mic with my ukulele.
Yes, yes.
It'll be a better show for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Pressure. Well, what were the Counting Crows there for? Just to perform?
They were there to perform. It was supposed to be like their coming out party. Like here these guys. Their album wasn't even released yet. It was just like here's somebody you guys are going to need to know. I mean, they were doing things like they were opening for everybody. Like apparently in their early days, they were opening for Suede, they were opening for Cracker, they were opening for, anybody who would have them.
Yeah.
So they sort of and that's another weird story. Apparently, Mr. Jones was never officially a single. Like obviously it is now, or it sort of became to be. But I guess there was a dispute between Adam Duritz and the record label about which song should be their first single. He wanted it to be what was called Rain King. Or Omaha, I can't remember, I forget which one, but there was a long dispute about it. So the way that he solved it was he just refused. He was like, okay, fine, we're not releasing a single. But they would go on these tours where they're opening, and they would go into radio stations, and the radio DJs would ask them, okay, well, what is your single? We'll play it. And Adam Duritz would tell them, it's Mr. Jones. It's Mr. Jones.
Oh,
It's like,
okay.
it was never officially. So that song kind of caught fire because MTV started calling the record label and saying, you need to give us a video for Mr. Jones. It's real big on the radio. You got to give it to us. And the record labels were just like, but that's not even the single. And there's Duritz just giggling in the background going, it is now. I forced it. And,
yeah. And that video looks
use the reins of power.
I watched the video today. He's just in like an apartment singing, jumping up and down. Simple video. Probably easy
jumping up and down. Happy to do it on the old timey radio microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That everybody loves and nobody actually uses.
Flopping his dreadlocks around.
Just a happy guy flopping his dreadlocks everywhere. Yeah. That's how I want to remember Adam Duritz. Grow those dreadlocks back, Duritz.
Said a happy guy. Did you ever see that video? They do it with the dog. It's like anytime there's like a dog excited, it's like a popular meme like video where it's this music like it's a happy guy, and it's like this dog. It's dumb. Dog people know. You guys know what I'm talking about.
I have not seen it.
All right. I have not seen. Oh wait, are we done? I was moving on. I don't know.
I think counting crow. I think we counted those crows.
I think we did. I have not seen 6 Degrees yet because it's coming from Jeremy tomorrow, but we are going to put it in right here.
Hey friends, welcome to another edition of 6 Degrees, where this week we're going to connect Tinted Windows to the Counting Crows through that band's connection to the David Lowery verse. Lowery's first band, Camper Van Beethoven, featured multi-instrumentalist David Immergluck, who would fill the same role in the Counting Crows, and Lowery himself would produce the Crows' third album, This Desert Life. Lowery, probably best known as the singer from Cracker, a band with a frequently revolving rhythm section, one that included on the album Gentleman's Blues, bass from our old friend, Tommy Stinson. Stinson, as mentioned previously, played guitar on the Whiskeytown album Pneumonia, as did James Iha, the guitarist for Tinted Windows. So this week we went Counting Crows to Cracker, to Tommy Stinson, to Tinted Windows. Back to Diane.
And we're back. Sure, it was great. Always fun. Always fun, Jeremy. Love it, love it. It is time now, though, before we do our deep cuts, is to draw next month's Patreon. So that was for Steve Ryan. Steve, thank you for being a Patreon member, and I hope you liked that episode. And now we will see which song or which Patreon member. And remember, guys, if you want to join our Patreon, it's $5. You support the show, $5 a month, and then you get your name in this bucket, and we choose a song that you tell us you want. And it's the Dumb Love ladies. We love
Excellent.
Our Dumb Love podcast ladies, who Sally Brooks just had an album release, and it was #1 on the iTunes charts for like a couple days. I don't know if it still is. She's doing great. Jeremy produced her I don't know if he produced this what's on, but yeah, he did her show. He produced her album. So anyway, go Sally Brooks and the ladies from Dumb Love. So we will have them choose a song. Last time we had them choose a song, they made us do Informer by Snow, which ended up being a really fun episode. So we'll see what gem they give us this time.
They are definitely going to trap us again.
So yay, I'm excited. All right. I don't know if you have a deep cut. Do you have a deep cut? Because I have a deep cut.
I do. It's not a particularly deep cut, but I think what I'm trying to do with deep cuts is try to find a song that sort of that sits alongside the song that we're doing for the episode.
Yeah.
So I picked Alex Chilton by The Replacements, a
Oh,
song
that's fun.
about Alex Chilton.
Oh, that's a good one.
Children by the million wait for Alex Chilton to come around. They say, I'm in love. But what's that song? I'm in love with that song.
I don't
It's a
think
fun
I know it, but Jeremy definitely will.
Well, I have no doubt that he knows it. It's a very classic Replacements, guitar-driven tune
Okay.
with Paul Westerberg's raspy voice.
Okay.
And his ode to the big star.
Oh, that's fun. Okay,
My favorite
cool.
star, Big Star, is of course named after Big Star.
Oh, that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. And oh yeah, and I sent Jeremy there when he was in
Mhm.
town. Okay, that all came full circle. That's okay, I get it. Okay, my deep cut is from a local band called The Hunger. So back in the 90s, The Hunger released this album called Leave Me Alone. And it was great. It was like new wave industrial music. I loved it. I wore it out. I would go see them play in concert. And then they switched music styles. They went like kind of in a different direction with how their music sounded. It was more, I don't know, like more rock than I wanted it to be, or more like the way alternative rock was going, and I didn't like it. So it felt like a couple decades, they refused to play anything from Leave Me Alone, my favorite album of theirs. And so my friends would be like, oh, The Hunger's playing, do you want to go see him? And I would just be like, arms crossed, pissed off, like, no, they play all the shit I don't like anymore. They don't play my favorite album, so no. But just recently, I've been told they're still performing around town, that they have opened it back up and they start playing songs from Leave Me Alone. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll go see them. But my favorite song is called Shoot to Kill. And it was just this very, like, you'd hear it at Numbers. Like, it was just this very, like, industrial techno, like, burr, 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 like, good, like, dance song. And it was my favorite.
The object of terror is terror.
It gets the booty shaking.
I mean, it's not like, I mean, the kind of stuff I dance to at Numbers isn't really booty shaking. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know how you dance to Warm Leatherette or Front 242, but it's that stuff. It's in that vein, you know? It would be weird to twerk to Shoot to Kill.
Squeeze that trigger as the enemy approaches. Fix him in your sights. Fix him in your sights. Fix him in your sights. Shoot to kill.
I read that the Counting Crows do something similar to what you were talking about The Hunger doing, where they refuse to play the hits because they don't want to be like a nostalgia act or a dinosaur act.
Yeah.
Like fairly, like if you go to a Counting Crows show, you're not hearing around here. You're not going to hear Mr. Jones appear.
That's gonna piss off a lot of fans. That's how you got your name out there. Like, you gotta give people their hits, man. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan.
No.
So I'm just gonna show you guys. My phone keeps showing the Apple blinking on and off. And I'm going to tell you, I always take my phone with me into the bathtub, but I have this little bamboo shelf that I put it on. It's all protected. Been doing it for a decade. Today is the day I dropped the whole thing into my bathtub water. I mean, all the way in. And I scooped it out and I pulled it out of the case and it seemed to be working fine. But now it started doing this. And I'm like, oh no, I think I killed it.
No.
They're supposed to be waterproof, right?
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to go diving with it. I think they can get rained on, but they can't fall into the bath with you.
It went all the way under. I think it's all broken.
Your secret love of bath selfies must come to an end, Diane.
Oh God, that's not why I do it. I just want to listen to my podcast and watch YouTube in there. shit balls. All right, I think I have to go get a new phone after this. I don't know what's happening next. So this was supposed to come out like this past Monday, but I was at Disney. We didn't record it, and then we had a guest, Matt Kirsch, that we were supposed to record with tomorrow. But he just moved and his wife's out of town. He's solo dad duty. And he's like, I don't know if I can do it. So we'll get to it. And I don't even know what song he was picking, but I will say after our Jane's Addiction episode, he'd messaged me and being like, I love that episode. And we talked about Primus. And he's like, if you do a Primus episode, let me know. And I was like, well, do you just want to be a guest and do it? And he was like, yes. So whenever we get Maddie, I think we're doing a Primus episode, but I'm not sure. But I'm
excellent.
Excited. Yeah.
Primus definitely falls into my massive ignorance gaps. So it'll be nice to have it filled up. Yeah. Thanks for all of my friends who gave me so much shit about the Faith No More episode. I really appreciate that. None of this came out. I woke up to a bunch of text messages.
That's really fun. All right. Well, this was a fun episode.
You have a good time? I hope you had a good time. We did it. And yes.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Diane Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.